This is Morgan Beatty on the subject of an idea that began with an engine. A 331 cubic inch Chrysler Firepower V8 with more horsepower than any other production engine. Initially, it powered a stately 1951 Chrysler passenger car with astonishingly good performance.
Crazy!
Racing people recognized it and put special versions under the hoods of many speedsters. They turned up at Lemonheads and Bonneville and Watkins Glen. Once a new closed-track record at Chrysler's own proving ground, where the high-banked curves make steering unnecessary up to 140 miles per hour. Chrysler engineers, as a matter of hobby, did a lot of thinking up and souping up, and the race addicts were happy.
In the opinion of some race car addicts, that firepower engine redeemed the whole automotive industry. I'm Bob Rocket, chief engineer for Chrysler and Imperial. As you know, car manufacturers aim to build the cars most people want to drive. At Chrysler, we engineer for maximum silence, the softest possible ride, automatic, effortless performance. But race buffs want what you might call pure power. If you have ever ridden in a race car, or even heard one, you know it needs a lot to put together. It sounds like the end of the world, it rides like a rock, and it fits like a shoe a couple of sizes too small. On the other hand, it's unique, and it's exciting, and it's a basic automotive experience. We've deliberately engineered a lot of this out of American cars. The special versions of our firepower engine got Chrysler amazed in racing at a time when quite a few people were developing again for this basic driving experience. Some of them were beginning to buy the little domesticated European figures called sports cars. They put up with discomfort and inconvenience and enormous service problems in order to get what you might call a driver's kind of comfort. It was a trend, an engineering challenge that was difficult to resist. If we had the engine, why not develop a car that would be a sports car in every important way, but still be a car that an American could live with? We went to work at this, and in early 1955 we released our first model, the Chrysler 300. 300 for horsepower.
The grille of the first 300 was borrowed from the Imperial. The emblem was a racer's checkered flag, and the Firepower V8 had a full race camshaft and dual four-barrel carburetors. 300 horsepower that could deliver more than 135 miles per hour. That first 300 series took the NASCAR Grand National Stock Car Championship as well as the AAA Stock Car Championship. It burned up the sophisticated standard of Daytona Beach to win the NASCAR National Speed Trial Championship and the NASCAR National Women's Speed Championship. In single runs and competitive events, the 300 became a legend in its own roaring time, and the start of a venturesome revival in both the business and the hobby of cars that is still on the rise. The 56 model enlarged the legend with more victories. There were minor changes of trim and major changes of horsepower. The 300B repeated most of the first 300's triumphs and had some new ones of its own. The new 300C had a grille all its own, and the first dual headlights on a production automobile. The big air-cooled brakes were Husky. The emblem was new. So was the sheet metal, but the basic 300 commodity was still record-smashing power. The 300C, as well as the D and others to follow, rode on front torsion bar suspension. If the front view of the C was its most distinct view, the rear was still the one most motorists could see. The differences between the E and the F were more apparent, not only in styling, but in the resolute annual increase in acceleration and power. The F, for 1960, had the first standard bucket seats in the big car market, a central console, and a tachometer. The 300F took the first 6 places in the 1960 Flying Mile event. It made the fastest run ever recorded by NASCAR for a production automobile. And soon, the 300G came along to break all records except that one high-speed run.
The 300 idea is the idea of a powerful, responsive, nimble automotive machine. Styling has never been the primary consideration. 300s have been Chryslers, often severely simplifying outside trim, and distinguished by grille and emblem and by their unique interior. The 300 engineering hobby goes right on. So does the enthusiasm that gets to everybody who builds a 300 on the line. And the enthusiasm is still concentrated on the remarkable machinery of the 300. That's the way it's been each year. That's the way it is with the new one for 62. The 300H.
Chrysler's 300s has doubtless made a contribution to the company's engineering. But in the overall history of automobiles, every 300 that has thundered around the giant 5-mile oval at the Chrysler Proving Grounds has contributed substantially to the sociology of American motoring. Out of the 300 idea came the reawakening of a natural American interest in cars. Cars not simply to be luxurious transportation, but cars to be enjoyment in themselves. In the wake of the Pioneer 300, many more automakers have added genuine high-performance cars to their wares. An essential of the high-performance idea is safety. High-performance brakes must be exceptional. But the primary definition of high performance naturally isn't stop, but go. Current model 300s can flare up to 60 miles per hour in less than 8.5 seconds. Steep inclines affect this kind of acceleration very little, and the year-to-year gains in torque and added takeoff have to be earned with always more tedious hours of engineering refinements.
High-performance engineering began simply enough, getting maximum air-fuel mixture into and out of the cylinder. So let's start with the air cleaners. We use 2 air cleaners, both much smaller than ordinary air cleaners. The filter, however, is still there. Most air cleaners have a big dead air space around the filter for silencing. By eliminating this silencing baffle, we speed up the flow of air, and incidentally, that produces part of the throaty sound of the sports car. Each of the air cleaners are 2 carburetors, each with 4 barrels, one in effect for each cylinder. These feed into a special Loctite manifold, which the cylinders draw the air-fuel mixture family style. Look at it from the front. The air cleaner, the carburetor, and the manifold is a fast, plentiful, nearly direct flow into the cylinder. To get the most air-fuel mixture from manifold to cylinder, you have to keep the intake valve open as long as possible. And that's what a racing camshaft does. When the long side of a cam pushes on the lifter, the valve opens. The long side of a race cam is fatter than that of an ordinary cam, so the valves stay open longer in each revolution of the camshaft. Okay, you drive.
Automotive Proving Grounds is one reserved for test drivers. For them and their engineer passengers, it's ready. The roads are deliberately and scientifically rugged and rigged with built-in bumps and curves that test primarily the cars, but incidentally, the drivers. Up ahead, a test car holding an assigned steady speed of 50 miles per hour. Power to pass quickly is one measure of high performance. Nimble, obedient acceleration and agile handling to put a car instantly where the driver wants it.
People occasionally ask us why we make the 300s, and that's a fair question. It's not a high-volume car. Consequently, as a matter simply of business, not always a profitable car to build. But we measure its importance to Chrysler and Imperial in some terms that are just as valuable as profit. We are a company built on engineering masters. 300 gives us an all-out engineering car. It has put real fire and spirit into the whole job we do, with every line of Chrysler and Imperial. Now you've been driving or watching the 300 on our proving grounds, where with a little planning, anything goes. See, most 300 owners, unless they participate in controlled sports car events, can seldom drive as rapidly or venturesomely as this. But maximum speed is not for most people the 300 ideal. The potential of a true sports car is something you experience, you feel, whether you use it all or only a little. That's the thrill and the payoff. And it's something no one realizes until you try it. Put it this way. If you yourself are capable of lifting 150 pounds, it's a snap to lift 25 pounds. More fun, certainly, than lifting the whole 150. Something like that explains why it's fun to drive a 300, even at 25 miles per hour.
Most of the people who gravitate toward high-performance cars are, in a real sense, automotive gourmets. They like precision machinery. They're knowledgeable about cars, and they're demanding about performance. Speed that isn't tightly controlled is not something they like. The sports car man takes a drive in the country, not a ride. He enjoys a unique kind of identification with his car, with the whole business of motion and power. Power to stop, power to go, ready power, reserve power, that gets down to business with an economy of time and effort. If he drives in the country, the sounds of nature sing their prettiest over the rich, throaty obligato of his engine. He is apt to describe what he enjoys more as the unity of man and machine, the engine, the drivetrain, and the intimacy with which the sports kind of suspension connects all of this to the road. And if this kind of talk isn't clear when you first hear it, it apparently becomes clear when you experience it, because the number of high-performance owners grows with amazing speed. Historically, the boom in high performance goes back to one remarkable engine, and what has become, with the enthusiasm of some Chrysler engineers, the 300 idea.